episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. At this point in the quarantine, you've probably become a teacher, a chef, a housekeeper, a hairdresser, a barista, a trainer, and so much more. But when it's time to unwind from all that, Hella Cocktail Company can turn you into a bartender, a great one. Hella Cocktail Company features premium bitters and soda, and cocktail mixes. My favorite is the spicy margarita mix. I use it to make chili watermelon margaritas, and I just add tequila, some watermelon juice, and then a few dashes of the smoked chili bitters. It's so good. Hella Bitters and Soda is now available at Whole Foods, or you can use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tanisha Wood. Today, I have Bree with me, and Bree is from the show Marrying Millions. And one of the things that I've definitely been binging is that show. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's on Lifetime, and it's basically about couples where one is a millionaire or wealthy, and then the other is not. And how do they come together? Why are they together? How other people view it? I was really fascinated by it, particularly by Bree and her boyfriend, Bill, who have a 40-year age gap. Bree is 22 and Bill is 60 plus. And so I was just curious about you guys being so different in many different ways, how it all works. First off, Bree, thank you for coming on today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So how did you meet Bill?
So we met when I was a hostess at a restaurant. Being the hostess, I greet everyone, I talk to everyone, and you basically want to make sure everyone's taken care of and they have the service they need. So, of course, I start talking to him. And he actually came with a friend for lunch. And I noticed him, didn't really talk to him because it's hard not to notice him with his long hair and just his crazy get up. But I noticed he came back. And I was like, okay, but he's alone this time. He ordered a drink, didn't order any food, and just sort of kind of like crept closer to me and asked me a question. And it wasn't anything around like, oh, you're pretty, or I like your hair, or I like your shoes. And that's what caught my eye. Because most people that would come up to talk to me, they wanted to compliment me in some way or, make me feel special. He didn't try and make me feel special. He just spoke to me like a normal human being. And I feel like that attracted me to him because I was like, wait, okay, so you don't want to talk about me. We're just talking, just having a civilized conversation. Intellectually, it was everything that I needed at that time. Because I'm working at a restaurant with other younger people. They're just talking about like, what do you want to do after work? Do you want to drink? Do you want to come to my house? And something stimulating, completely off the chart of what I was used to. And so it attracted me. I wanted to get to know this guy, but I didn't want to seem that I was trying to get him, right?
So did you know initially when he approached you that it wasn't a romantic way? Or did you think like, oh, he's just like a friendly older man wanting to have a conversation?
And it sounds a little conceited, but most people that come try and talk to me, they want to compliment me or they want to start a conversation to make me feel special and flirt with me basically and start things like that. So the fact that he came to me, not in a flirtatious way at all, but more of in a gentleman, way of coming to speak to a woman, it was nice and it was different. So it wasn't really that I knew like, this is the guy for me. I want to date him. I want to know him. It was more of just so refreshing and so enjoyable that I wouldn't have mind talking to him again if I saw him again, which I did. So it was like, oh, there's that guy that like speaks to me like a human being and not like a girl who he just wants to get in their pants, It was refreshing. So that's how it all started. Long story. That's how it started. And he'd come around more and more, he'd come and talk to me. And finally, after like a few weeks of just coming and talking every other day, he invited me for coffee. And that's where it started.
Now, when he invited you for coffee, did you have any thought like, you're way older than me? Why would we be having coffee? Like, did that cross your mind at all? Or had you maybe dated older people so it wasn't an issue?
It was completely new territory for me because I had never dated someone so much older than me. We weren't dating. We were just meeting up, having conversations. It wasn't anything sexual, it wasn't anything flirtatious. It was just human interaction. And it was refreshing, like I said before. And once he invited me out on the date, I kind of got a hint like, okay, he likes you and wants to get to know you. Is this a path that you want to walk down? Because if not, you shouldn't take this date. I was nervous because I'd never dated someone so much older, but the conversation was so amazing that it made me say, you know what, like I'm gonna go and see what this guy has to say and just talk to him like we've been doing.
So what did you guys talk about during these conversations? Like what does a 22-year-old and a 60-plus-year-old have in common?
He's not your common 60-year-old. Yes, he reads the paper every morning. Yes, he's very calm. But his mind is so much younger than he actually is. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but people have told me that I am a little bit older for my age. So I think that's where we sort of met in the middle. And the things we talk about sports, we'll talk about politics, we talk about our dogs, we talk about my family, his family. We swap stories. If I'm stressed out about my family, he'll give me advice. If he's stressed out about his daughters, likewise, because I grew up with a bunch of siblings. I know how it feels to be a sibling and, want your love from your parent. So we go vice versa in a lot of those situations.
Coming from a large family, how did your father feel about it? Because they're, around the same age. And you seem like a daddy's girl from what I saw on the show.
I don't think there's any wrong I could do in my father's eyes. He just, as long as I'm happy. But I do have to sit down and explain to him, Dad, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And he's like, Brie, I just don't get it. Dime, mija, explícame. Like he wants me to explain. If he knows that I'm happy and the family is okay and I'm keeping in contact with my family, then I'm fine. Now, if he ever feels that I'm, depressed or sad or like for some reason I stop talking to the family, oh, I'm going to get Amber Alerts. They'll put out a missing report. Like my phone will blow up. Why haven't you called your mother? Like, so him, I definitely had to explain it to.
Do they get along? Like, do they ever hang out, your dad and Bill?
After we got over the whole, who is this guy? Why are you dating him? Now I need to meet him. My dad and him met. We went to dinner and they did really good because Bill grew up in Monterrey, Mexico. His parents were Methodist. His father was a preacher. And so he grew up in Mexico. So he's fluent in Spanish. He knows the culture because he grew up there. And it made it a lot easier for him and my father to actually get along. Because my father he gets nervous when he speaks in English. So speaking in Spanish broke that nervous barrier and really made my father feel that he could speak his mind. And then, this is the funny part, I would leave out of town and Bill would send me pictures with my father, like, I'm hanging with your dad. Bye, we miss you. And I'm just like, I'm jealous now. Like, y'all can't hang out without me. But they get along. There was definitely a period where my father questioned it and wanted to know what was going on. Obviously, because my brother was like, Dad, Bree's lost her mind. Da, 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 da. Everyone's so close. I can't tell one person in my family something without everyone knowing. They like call each other back to back.
They're like, we need an intervention. Bree's lost
her mind.
How did your siblings react?
So they were really the ones that's like, Bree, we grew up with you. What are you thinking? Like my brother was the one to say like, Bree, if you're dating this man for money, like you don't need to do that. The family's always here for you. We're going to help you if like this is your reason for doing it. And I thought it was a really beautiful thing for him to say that because a lot of people, they'll just like, oh, we have our own assumption, but we're not going to say it. No, he flat out told me to my face, like, if you're doing this for money, we'll help you. Like, you don't need to do it. Because he didn't know the guy. He thought Bill was trying to buy me. And, you kind of get like the
stereotypes.
Yeah, the rich white guy.
I mean, most of the time though, Bree, it is a common thing where if there is a much older, wealthy man and he is dating a much younger, attractive woman, there is a thought there like, okay, well, what's in it for her is the money. What's in it for him is having somebody very attractive around. So that wasn't the draw for either of you.
No. I definitely think, obviously, yes, he wanted to approach me because I'm young and I am attractive, but it went far beyond looks and it went beyond what either of us thought it was going to be. He probably was just flirting with me because I was a young, attractive hostess or whatever. But from where we started and where we have grown, I can honestly say for myself that I know it is not what people would assume. It's a completely normal assumption. And I get it for people to assume that with us. All I can say is like hang out with us and see how we interact with each other, see how we talk to each other, and you will understand. One of his best friends asked him, like, he asked the question you asked, what do y'all talk about? And we talk about these same things you talk about with, your significant other or your best friend or, the person you spend every night with. Like, we don't sleep apart. We're always together just as a normal couple would do.
Do you ever feel like he maybe doesn't get some things? I mean, just for me, for example, there's just certain things I can't talk to my mother about because there's just way too much explaining that has to happen in order for me to even have the conversation. So sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm not talking to her about that because I don't want to explain all that. Like, do you feel those generational divides ever between the two of you?
No, not
Like, do you guys
necessarily.
like the same music?
That's where we do clash. But luckily, since I listen to a wide range of music, I can get on his level and we can listen to the rock and we can listen to the heavy metal and we can listen to these things, right? I don't think we could do it vice versa. Like if I put on the baby, I don't think I don't think he could vibe to it. But that's okay though, because I know when I'm in my car alone, I'm gonna listen to the baby. But I know if I'm also with my man, I'm gonna listen to something that we can both enjoy. And I'm not gonna let him like hate the music. I'll listen to some Lauryn Hill, like something calm, you know what I mean? Some Tatiana Taylor, something that I can know he can be like, okay, well, I like this beat. He's into drums. I'll find something with a good drum solo in it and he'll like it too.
And also, I suppose it's not too different than the fact that my boyfriend really likes action movies and I don't. So he watches those when I'm gone or we're not watching a movie together. So on the show, at one point, he introduced you to some of his friends and they weren't very nice to you. Have they since come around?
They have since come around. The main girl, I think her name is Andrea. Andrea was the main one that was questioning our relationship and like questioned if it was appropriate and really seemed bothered by our relationship, which I get, each their own. But ever since then I've met her at a few events and I felt a little bad because I gave her a cold shoulder because I didn't want to reopen that situation. I didn't want to hear an apology because I didn't think that she understood how it made me feel, right? Because she didn't try and reach out to me. It was just at those events that she saw me and felt she wanted to say something. And we talked about it and she apologized and I accepted her apology. But would I be too open to being people's friends who, have that type of audacity? Not necessarily. I like calmer people, and being blunt doesn't necessarily mean being rude.
Right.
And if I've learned that at this young age and you still haven't, then baby, we're not on the same page. I'm sorry.
At the end of the day, it's your relationship and his, and you guys choose to be in it. And, there's really no need to have people around that don't see that and don't understand it and are essentially sort of hating on it.
Yeah, because I can understand them being around us and maybe not understanding. We can get to an understanding point, but it's just sad to see someone come around and pour negativity in something just because you don't understand it. They say ignorance is bliss. That's not true.
You grew up pretty middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Bill is pretty wealthy. Has
Yes.
that been an adjustment in any way?
Yes and no. You remember how I told you Bill grew up in Mexico, in Monterrey?
Mm-hmm.
He knows he didn't grow up wealthy with money. And so he never makes me feel small for maybe not seeing this or not knowing the proper name for maybe something or, things like that. He never belittles me, which is great when we try new things because there's a lot of things in Bill's life that I've never done. Before I met Bill, I was never on a jet before, so I'm like touching the buttons and like, oh, this is, so, but he never makes me feel little for being so amazed, even though he's been on a jet. He's gone, to Europe, to this place, to that place. And that's something I appreciate. He's very humble about it. If it was just Bill and I and the children and we wanted to go on a boat on the water, we would probably rent like a little 15-footer and enjoy each other's company rather than getting a yacht just because Bill can. You know what I mean? He's very humble.
Do you ever feel sort of uncomfortable with that stuff? For me personally, like I also grew up very middle class. And sometimes when I am around people that have a lot of money, sometimes I'm like, that's so excessive. Is that even necessary? And I sort of feel almost uncomfortable where I'm like, I'm not spending that kind of money on that. Like, based on just how I grew up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes. Bill, believe it or not, he is a frugal person. He will go out of his way and spend good amounts of money on things that are, he sees worth it. But just to every day, we're just going to live life to the max and just not care about money. Like we can't, we can't do that. We dig our own hole. Times that I do feel uncomfortable. So I love sales. It's just a product of my environment, when you can find a good sale, you go for it. And so I'll do that. And maybe I find a nice pair of heels that will be name brand, but I find them on sale, which makes me like, I'm over the moon because I just got $200 off something, which is amazing. That's right. You want $200. Yes. Yeah. Go for that sale. And I'll go for it. And I remember being at an event one day and someone complimented my shoes. And I was so excited. I blurted it out like, thank you, girl. I got them on sale. Yes. Because I love sales.
Right. Like, it's like a brag moment. Like, I got these for $200 off. Can you believe it? What a great find, right? Aren't I great?
You know what I mean? And the look I got was like, oh, like they're probably last season. I was like, oh, Lord, well, I just messed up. I shouldn't have said it. So there's small moments like that where you will run into someone who is very materialistic. Don't get me wrong, though. I have met many, many good-hearted, just wonderful souls in this neighborhood. And, it'll be one of Bill's close friends' girlfriend. And that's how I'll meet her. And I'll end up actually really loving this person. I've made a few really, really nice friends here. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, this area is just materialistic and all that. Because believe it or not, it's just like the rest of the world. You're going to find your good and you're going to find your bad. But I'm luckily blessed enough to say that Bill has good friends. And the women that I've met have been kind to me, other than the few that you guys got to see on the show.
How many kids does Bill have?
Bill has 5 children.
Okay. And how old are the kids?
Okay. So we have a 32-year-old, a 31-year-old, and a 29-year-old. And then we have 2 16-year-olds and a 11-year-old.
Have you met them all?
Yes.
And particularly the ones that are 29 to 32, what was their reaction to you? Because you're younger than them.
Oh, Lord. That was an uphill battle. But not bad, right? Because they're very kind girls. They're very classy girls, but they're very protective of their father. So, of course, they were like, oh, you have another young girlfriend. Because when I met Bill, he was coming out of a divorce with his ex-wife. And when we met, he was actually still legally married and they were living in separate homes. So the girls really took that and ran with it. And, like, Dad, what are you doing? Like, you just divorced someone and now you're going to someone even younger, And they didn't understand it. Again, fully get it. Because I would have been the same way if some young girl was moving in on my dad. I'd be like, wait, I need to know what this girl wants first, Completely understand the protectiveness. And that's why I didn't push. I didn't want them to feel like, oh, I'm in your dad's life now, so now you have to love me. Like, no.
Call me mom.
I didn't want to do that. That was like, look, I know I have to give these girls some space. And so that's what we did. I literally just kind of gave them space. If I knew they were coming over, I would go to my mom's house, or I'd stay upstairs and give them time with their dad, because that's what they wanted. They wanted time with their dad to see where he was. Just like my family pulled me aside and asked me if I'd lost my damn mind. They wanted to know if his marbles were getting loose. And he explained to them, like, look, she's a really good girl. We've been dating longer than, you guys really know, because I was waiting to tell you. And they listened to their father. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like an overnight thing. But slowly but surely, they would stand in the same room as me. They would actually talk to me, eye contact. And in no way ever were they rude to me, though. I just knew they did need their space.
Now, where are you guys at with your relationship?
So I picked out their Christmas gifts, and they all loved them. So I feel like we're on a good page. If I can pick out a sweater that you would like, I know you now. Like, we're good. And they're really kind. They invite me to the baby showers, the weddings, and it's never like, oh, Bill Hutchinson and a guest. They'll put my name on the invitation. They've kind of allowed me to be around the family and really been polite enough to include me in things. And I'm just taking it one day at a time, because if I push it, it'll cause stress between him and his daughters. And being so close to my father, I would never want that to happen.
Right.
So as least amount of pressure that I can put on that side of the family, I will.
And I think that's a really great strategy on your part, to sort of let them go at their own pace and not try to force it in either direction. Because you're right. Had you forced it, it probably would have blown up.
We've come a long way, so I'm happy.
Now, you also met Bill's ex-wife, and
Yes.
on the show, she told you that he was a cheater.
Oh, yes.
Is that something that you're fearful of? Did you believe her? Did you and him have a follow-up conversation about that?
I was just mad at him for putting this damn lunch together, because I'm like, what do you think is gonna, she doesn't want to be my friend, honey. Like, your positivity is great, but no.
What was his reason for having that meeting? Because he wasn't there. It was just you two.
No, he wasn't there. He thought that he could put us together because she is a socialite in this neighborhood. A lot of people know her, invite her to social events just for her presence. I mean, she's known, right? And a lot of people follow what she says and agree with the things she says in our neighborhood. So Bill's thought was, if I can get Kathleen to show Bree some kindness, or like Bree, or understand Bree in a way, then maybe other people will like Bree, because they see that Kathleen likes Bree. And if Kathleen, Bill's ex-wife, likes Bree, then everybody will like Bree.
So she's kind of a gatekeeper to his friends and the people that he hangs around with.
Yeah, you could say. He thought it'd be a good idea. Obviously wasn't. And I knew it wasn't a good idea, but I will put my own opinion and my own likes aside if I know that we're doing this to help, our situation, our families, just relieve pressure anywhere. Like, let's do it. I'll talk to whoever you want me to talk to. Like, it's fine. And so I did it. Sort of blew up in my face a little bit. But it's fine. I just know to keep my distance. But since we had that conversation, I had seen her at an event, and she actually thanked me. I think they were taking a family picture, and I moved out of the way to have, because it was the girls, her, and Bill. And I wanted the full Hutchinson family to have a picture together. They all looked beautiful. We were a stunning event. So I moved out of the way. She came up to me and thanked me for being so patient, and for knowing just to give her family some space and give her some space to be with her daughters. And I felt like that was a big breaking point for us, even though we had that clash.
So Bill's younger kids are not with her.
No. So this wife is the first wife, and he's been married twice.
Got it.
Hopefully third time's the charm.
Well, speaking of marriage, is that something that you guys have talked about?
We have spoken about it, but we haven't come down to like, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. We just kind of talk about it. We share feelings. Well, how do you feel about it? Well, this is how I feel about it. What do you think our family is going to feel about it? And since we're both pleasers, honestly, I could see us putting our own ones aside just to keep the family happy. Like, because we're happy, we're together, nothing's gonna stop that. So it's like, however this goes, as long as we can be true to ourselves and keep our families happy, I think we'll both be fine with whatever the outcome is.
Now, I know you're still young, so, you probably aren't planning to have a family tomorrow, but
No.
do you want children eventually of your own?
It's such a hard question because speaking from just my own point of view, does Bree want children? Yes, I would love to have children. I come from a big family and I'm already behind in the race, just saying, because every single one of my siblings have had children. I'm the only one that hasn't like popped one out yet. Now, are you asking Bree, who's in a relationship with Bill? Do we want children? I don't know. Because there's so many like variables that go along with that question. It's not a one answer question.
Mhm.
Do I think Bill wants to have kids? We've spoken about it and he let me know that he would when the time is right. Problem is, I'm working off a clock that's not mine, you know?
Right.
He has a timing clock too.
And
So,
it's funny because typically it's the other way around,
right?
where a woman is the one that's really worried about her time running out. But because you guys are so far apart, it really is on him in this case.
Yeah. And it's something that we have to take into consideration. Yes, of course, you're going to be there in our child's life, but how involved will you be? Because it won't only affect us, but it'll affect this life that we bring into the world. It's such a scary thing that I almost just want to like push it to the back. Like, oh, I have some stepchildren. They're great. I chase them around. So any mommy cravings that I have are fulfilled. I'm making breakfast, I'm making dinner. Oh, I need to go pick up King, I'll go pick up King. Annabelle needs a ride, I'll go pick up Annabelle.
Do his younger children live with you guys?
Yes, so they live with us.
How is that? Like, how is just that dynamic of, I guess, being a mom?
I just love it. I love every part to it. I love the like dogs scratching on my door. I get up, I'll open their door, look at them sleeping, like everything. There's no part of it that I don't enjoy. Obviously, the teenager attitude I could do without, but they're great kids that it's not as bad as one would think.
Now, do they see you as an authority figure, particularly, the one that's a teenager? Are
Mhm.
you treated as like a what Bree says goes, or because you're so young, they're like, maybe, whatever, we'll see.
Actually, I am an authority figure to them, and I really appreciate it. So Annabelle's 16 now. I met her when she was 12. So she's kind of grown into herself, grown into her teenage years. When you're 12, 13, you're not a teenager yet. So I met them young. King was 8, he's 11 now. And I think that helped a little bit, just them kind of getting to know me and getting to know, like, hey, Bree's fun, but like, if we say that we need to do that, that's what we're going to do right now. And they're fine with it. I mean, I've never had a problem where it was like, you're too young to tell me what to do.
Right.
Never ran into that. Luckily, I'm not looking forward to the day it happens. Also, with the teenagers, I speak to them as young adults because that's what they are. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to be there for them until they're 40, I can't. Neither can their father, neither can their mother. But what we can do is we can help guide you and we can give you advice. Now it's your choice if you take it or not. But whatever choice you make, there'll be consequences, good and bad.
Right.
So we can only like reinforce, like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to be a friend. And I actually had that conversation one time. Bill's daughter had called me her friend, and I looked over at her and I had to tell her, honey, I'm not your friend. I said, I can never be your friend. I said, I can be your Bree bird. I can be your Bree, because the younger one calls me Bree bird because I whistle. And I was like, I can be a guide. I can be here for advice. But those little girls over there, those are your friends. I
Mhm.
can never be a friend to you, honey. And it was more of one of those conversations where she got it and it's never been an issue. Even with tempers flaring, she knows, like, okay, this is dad, this is Bree, this is mom. These are the people that, like, I can't play with, can't talk back to them, you know?
And I think that's good that you did that because it's very important, I think, to draw that line between authority figure and friend. Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
might look as young as some of your friends, but I'm not your friend.
Mhm.
That's not my
Yeah,
role
no.
here.
Yeah, and it's nice, you know, sometimes we'll have some of our friends over, and I'll be like, "Hey, honey, I need you to clean this up right now. You spilled this." "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." You know, her friends will go, "Yes,
Okay.
ma'am." And I'm like, "Oh, yes. I love that. Yeah."
Keep doing that. So now with your own friends, I imagine that your life now is very different than theirs. You know, I assume that you have friends that are around your age and they're not going to fancy gallows all the time and they're not stepmomming and you lead a very different life now. How has that been with still maintaining a connection with your friends?
It definitely did take a toll on my social interaction with my friends because if I were to invite them to this gala where women are wearing $50,000 worth of jewelry and we're wearing the best dress we have, but it probably doesn't compare to these other women who are wealthy and have wealthy families and wealthy husbands, and I know what it feels like to feel out of place because that's how I felt like in the beginning when I first started going to the events. I felt like I didn't know how to start a conversation. I didn't know if what I was wearing was appropriate. I didn't know if I was being judged. There was so much doubt in my head that it made it an uncomfortable situation. I kept at it because I was in a relationship and I wanted to be there to support the person that I'm with, dating, love, you know? Um, but to ask someone else to do that is a big ask.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Let me take you out of your comfort zone and plop you over here for my own gratification because I'm nervous.
Right.
It's not a fair thing to do. And so it's also like, you know how you asked me about the music? I know when and where to do things and with who to do them with. I'm not going to be speaking about these galas and 4510 where everything is $300 and up. You know, there's certain things you don't bring up because I don't want to seem like, oh, Brie, you've changed. You're just those people, you know. I don't want to seem like that because I've known these people all my life. They've always been there for me in my ups and downs. So I don't want to push them away in that way. And I know if I do those things, it will push them away. So it's all about knowing when and where and how to do it. And just don't make other people feel uncomfortable. Your life is your life, and however you deal with it and live it is good, but don't push it on someone else.
Do you feel like you have changed in any way?
Yes, I do. Not necessarily in a bad way, though.
Mhm.
I think I've actually gotten some more confidence speaking in front of people, which I was really horrible at. So the confidence with people has helped. I think I've actually learned to read people a little better just because it gave me a different audience to read. You know, growing up, two different types of people and trying to understand them as well and getting to know them and understanding them, you're adding something you didn't have before, you know, and I take a lot of pride in that. It means something to me because that does mean I'm growing as a person,
Definitely.
and personal growth is always a good thing to me. So yeah, I think I've changed a little bit.
Now, over the course of your relationship with Bill, it's been how many years now?
So it's been about three and a half.
So, over the last 3.5 years, do you feel like the relationship has changed?
When we first started dating, I didn't know his children, so it was like we'd take date nights, or he would go on a business trip and I would go with him. I'd get my days off of work. And so it was more of enjoying each other's time, little special dates here and there. Now I feel like we live together, we're always together, so we always enjoy each other's times, but we found little ways to make things more enjoyable. Like, I know the things he likes. I know he'll probably want a mint tea when we get home. So I'll come and bring him that. Instead of having like a special getaway like we did when we were dating, now we live together. And so since we have all this time together, the little moments that I can be like, oh, baby, look, I got you this because I thought you probably wanted it. You know, that's what makes it special. So not a huge change, but little things like that. You have to find the romance in the house. What's wrong? I'm sorry, my dog's crying.
Oh, it's all good. So I assume you're still not working at the Mexican restaurant that you guys met at.
No, it actually closed. It's gone. It's not there anymore. We can't even go and like reminisce of the good times.
So career-wise, what are you going to be doing?
So I actually work in the design district at Scott Plus Cooner, and it's a furniture sales room. So we sell everything from ottomans to tables to couches to chairs to light fixtures, sconces, whatever you need, we got it pretty much. And I'm an assistant, and whenever we have Hispanics come into the showroom, I'll help out as a bilingual translator.
Now, I assume that because of Bill's wealth, you actually don't need to have a job.
No, I don't currently need to.
Why is it important for you to still maintain a job?
Oh, I would go absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So I started working as soon as I hit the age to work. So as soon as I was 16, I was working my butt off every day after school. And that followed me up all the way until I met Bill. So even after dating Bill, I knew I still needed to do something with my life. And I was actually a little bit excited because I was like, okay, well, now I actually have an ability to learn a skill to put myself in a situation that I probably couldn't before. And the showroom was actually such a great opportunity because I met the showroom owner and she was just a doll, like just sweet as can be. And I thought, this is the people I want to surround myself. Intelligent, kind, pure hearted people. That's what I want to be around. And if I can learn something new about a new business, then I'm going to do that too. When we took our break and moved to Miami, I actually had to quit my job for the move. So I took a quick break for the year. We didn't have a maid, we didn't have a nanny, we didn't have anything that Bill's normally accustomed to. So that year in Miami really kicked in my mommy mode because I'm cooking, I'm doing laundry, I'm cleaning the house, I'm making sure the kids get to school on time. And I loved it. I didn't have a problem with it. But coming back to Dallas, we do have a maid, and she's always been here like long before me. So I'd hate to get rid of her. Plus, I know her. She's 3 kids. She's great. And so it's like being here, if I'm not cleaning the house, yes, I'm cooking, but that's not enough activity to fill up my day. And I was literally going insane. Because once it's just children and dogs, it's great, but it's not all the time great.
Right.
I needed to socialize with other adults, like anything, please. And so I actually came back and asked for my job back and re-interviewed, and they rehired me. So that's what I do other than just sitting here. I'd go insane. Can't do it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm really glad that you have a job. I don't think you should ever put all your eggs in one basket. You know, I don't think that you should ever have to fully depend on somebody. Like, it's nice if somebody is willing to help out, but you know, push comes to shove, you need to have your own stuff and your own plan and your own goals and your own money.
Circumstances change like at the drop of a dime. So you're right. Having your own financial independence is important. And so that's why, it's also a good idea. It helps, trust me, the sanity.
Right. So are there any more seasons of Marrying Millions coming up?
So we have a season 2 coming up.
That's awesome. I'm excited for that. How is it like having cameras around viewing your life and your relationship? How does that feel?
At first, it still felt unreal because I was like, well, this is sort of normal, but you know, the people behind the cameras are normal. They talk to me. So it made it feel really normal, you know, because between the scenes, they're talking to us. We're sitting down, having lunch with the whole crew. I know their names. I know their lives. I follow them on Instagram. So really, it doesn't feel like I'm just being followed by cameras. I'm just being followed by people. And I know these people. So like that. It's like
Instagram, but in real life.
Yeah. There you go. You know?
Occasionally they come up to you, just tap you twice, double tap. I like that.
So it's really fun. It's really fun. And season 2 is actually it's definitely gotten a little wild. So
okay. I can't wait to see.
That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Sorry. I wish I could give you more juice. You gotta watch it.
So what is up next for you guys?
Next, just I'm trying to keep Bill out of restaurants, keep him safe. He's 60. That's the danger zone. So
Right.
my job is keeping him safe, keeping the kids out of trouble, making sure the dogs don't poop on the carpet. That's my life right now. Ask me after quarantine, and we'll have a whole new answer for you.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to see where things go with you guys and to see season 2.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun, actually.
I'm not surprised by your maturity, but I will say I did think, well, maybe it's a money thing. Maybe, you never know. But, I appreciate the fact that you guys have a genuine connection. And I think we all need to be a little bit more open to the fact that love and connection can come in many different ways and many different packages. And it's not always the person that looks like you that is your age and grew up in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's random and you never know. So kudos to you for being open to that and finding somebody that you love and building a connection.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All I can say is don't miss out on an opportunity to find someone that you could truly spend the rest of your life with just because they're not what you're expecting. Always take any opportunity that life puts in front of you because you never know if the person you're looking at could be the love of your life.
Can people reach out to you on Instagram?
Yes, so you can actually find me on Instagram. I'm under it's limit_lists with 3 underscores at the bottom. And I apologize. I know. I apologize for this super strange name. Bill even told me, he's like, Bree, change it. Just change it to your name. Like nobody can find you. It's so hard. But if you got me on there. You'll see.
Well, thanks again, Bree. And you guys, please reach out to me at Tanisha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and let me know what you think of today's show. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.